Alright, guys, it's Ciaran from Red Devil Weekly, and we are live once again to talk about transfers this time. The last time I'm going to be talking about transfer news this summer, this year until January. I'm sure I'll be talking a bit about it in December, late December, but finally, we don't have to talk about transfers anymore. But today, I want your thoughts. I want your say on the transfer window because I'm going to give my thoughts, but I am going to give you guys your chance to voice your opinions live on the channel, and I will be getting your thoughts and reacting to them, and also the comments as well. The live chat will be reacting to them as well. But before we get into that, as always, just about to forget, make sure you do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Road to 900 subscribers now, so thank you so much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. And let's just get stuck into it. Now. Transfer window closed on October the 5th at 11 o'clock. That was yesterday. In fact, nearly 24 hours since the transfer window shut. And we've had time to digest everything, and the dust has settled. And this is what we've got. And we spent £75 million, just over £75 million. We brought in Donny van der Beek, Amad Diallo, Traore, Telles, Pellistri, Cavani, and then obviously Dean Henderson as well. And then also you've got Joel Pereira, whose loan finished, but that doesn't really count as bringing in someone. So people we've actually had to pay money to bring in are Pellistri, Cavani, Telles, Diallo, and Van der Beek, and all costing £75 million. Outgoings, we've said goodbye to Chris Smalling on a permanent transfer to Roma. Cameron Borthwick-Jackson has gone on a free transfer, as well as Alexis Sanchez, of course. Chong Pereira, Andres Pereira, and Diogo Dalot, and also Odi Nagalo as well, has gone out on loan back on loan to Shanghai Shenhua. So in total, we gained £13.5 million because of the Chris Smalling deal. So our net spend for the summer is somewhere around £60 million. So not ideal, really. Obviously, you've got to look at the fact that it is COVID times, but at the same time, it's not really what we were all expecting, not really what we were all hoping from this transfer window. Welcome, Queso. Thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it, as always. Aaron Richards, thanks for joining as well. So, hey, Ciaran, mate, you came to our team. I thought I'm on my Premier League and have only 4 days. It's not looking good, mate. I'm not going to lie. It's not looking good. But listen, in the end of the day, what can I do? It's Cambridge United, you know. If I get sacked, I get sacked. I can't do much more. Can't do fairer than that, you know what I mean? But anyway, we'll move on. And as I said, I'm going to just go through each transfer and just give my thoughts, really. And you guys, of course, can have your say as well, because I will be taking calls and allowing you guys onto the stream to give your thoughts if you want to, of course. So the first one on the list I can see here is Donny van der Beek. He was the first one that we completed for a fee of around £35 million. Now, for me, this was very left field. I wasn't expecting this, but I like it. I like this bit of business. And Van der Sar, we know, the former goalkeeper, had a lot to do with this. I think, to be honest with you, you can probably give more credit to him than you can to Ed Woodward, Nolligan, and Solskjaer, because I don't think they were really looking at Van der Beek as the sort of player that was going to come. His plane to Madrid was sorted. It was done. The deal was done. But he came to us instead. He came to Old Trafford with a bit of convincing, I'm not going to lie, a bit of convincing. And now he's probably wishing he never came and Van der Sar didn't convince him to come. But from what we've seen him, he looks a very clever player, very similar almost to someone like Juan Mata, but he works so hard for the team. He has that winning mentality as well. I like this bit of business, even though it wasn't what we kind of looked at that we needed in this team as of right now. It wasn't one of our top priorities, don't get me wrong. But I think this is a really good bit of business. I think it's probably one of the best bits of business of the window, really. And for only £35 million to someone who's only 23 years old, he's got a lot more time left to improve. I think this is not a bad signing, in my opinion, especially when you look at the likes of Matic and the fact that Fred and McTominay, are they really up to it? I'm not sure. So to bring in someone like Van der Beek for £35 million, I think is not a bad deal at all. So that's my thoughts on that. The next one I can see on my list is Amad Diallo Traore. You guys as well can give me your thoughts on what you think of the transfers. Matthew's joined. Thanks for joining. He's giving Cavani number 7 is as bad as when we gave it to Michael Owen. I mean, listen, Cavani is a proven goal scorer. He is a proven goal scorer. You can't You can't deny that. There is no denying that Edinson Cavani can do a job. It's just that he's 33 years old. That's the problem. He's 33 years old. We've got him on a 2-year deal, and I think he will do a job for us. I just think that, is there really much point paying someone that much a year for 2 years? Is there really that much point? And yeah, giving someone the number 7 shirt, especially someone like Cavani, I think why do we always give our big signings a number 7 shirt? It just sets them up for failure. It just sets them up. Sifo, thanks for joining. I'm sure you're happy. Obviously, Thomas Partey over the line. I'm going to be honest, I was gutted. I was actually gutted when Arsenal signed Partey, because I know how good of a player he is. He's such a good player, and he's just what Arsenal need. And what's worrying is that Arsenal seem to be actually going in the right direction. They've got a better squad than us at this moment in time. In terms of performance, you guys have got a better squad than us. And it's worrying to see, as a rival fan, Arsenal going in the right direction. But yeah, okay, that's my thoughts on Donny van der Beek. Let me know your thoughts as well. Amad Diallo Traore, again, another left field signing. No one saw this one coming. Has played 25 minutes for Atalanta, and we've paid £18.9 million. And we're not even going to see him play until January. It's an interesting one, this. He looks like a very good prospect. Someone who's probably going to go into the youth team, or at least kind of be slowly blooded into the first team. And I think they must know a lot about him if they paid £18 million for an 18-year-old that's played 25 minutes. They must have scoured him so well. They must have scoured him so hard if we're paying £18 million for this 18-year-old kid. I've only seen a YouTube clip of him, to be honest with you. He looks all right, but again, I reckon Phil Barty has a pretty good flare reel if you look on YouTube. So for me, I think it is what it is with that deal. It kind of reeks of panic and desperation, really. But it does look like we're still trying to build for the future, which is good. I like that. I do like that. I like, looking at the future. But £18 million, that does seem like we've been swindled there. It does seem like we've been swindled. But who knows? Who knows? He might turn out to be better than Jadon Sancho. I really hope that's the case. But we'll probably not reap the benefits of this transfer in the next kind of 2 years. But yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I'm not going to lie. I did not see that one coming. Sifo says, is that Facundo kid going into your first team? Well, I'll get on to him in just a second. You know what? Let's get on to him now. So Facundo Pellistri from a club I didn't even know existed, to be honest. We signed a player from a club I didn't even know existed. 7.65 million. Again, looks like a bit of a winger. He's not going into the first team. He'll be going into the youth setup, and then again, kind of probably, blooding him in slowly into the first team. It looks like we're really trying to build for the future, which also suggests to me that Ollie isn't going anywhere. Why would the board be buying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer players that are young, that are 18 years old, buying them for nearly £20 million? They must think that Ollie's going to stay because they're backing him, giving him players that are going to blood into the squad slowly. But yeah, it's a gamble. It is a gamble doing transfers like this. You look at other clubs bringing in Partey, Liverpool bringing in Thiago. These are ready-made players. Chelsea bringing in Chilwell, Havertz, Werner, all these guys, Thiago Silva, ready-made talents to make their squad better. And yes, obviously, if you buy young players, you can have the kind of ability to watch their progress, which is great. It's very satisfying to watch a young player progress and become really good. That's why everyone loves Mason Greenwood, because he was able to do that. But it's a risky strategy, especially with two players I don't think anyone had heard of until yesterday. But yeah, they're not going to go into our first team. They're probably going to go into the youth team, play some there, probably be on the bench, to be honest with you. But we are stacking our wingers now. We are stacking them. If we bring in these two, and then also you got Greenwood, you got Dan James as well, Rashford, Martial. We do look like now we've got an abundance of wingers, but not Jadon Sancho. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that, really. Let me know your thoughts. LSR Prince says, celery, like they're going to sack Ollie. Sancho is Ollie's first choice and they didn't sign him. Oh, clearly they're going to sack Ollie, sorry, not celery. Well, no, I agree. Listen, the Sancho thing is annoying, and Ollie clearly wanted Sancho. Everyone, the club seemingly wanted Sancho. But I just think the fact they're buying these 18-year-olds for £20 million, why would you do that if you're not going to back them? If you're not trusting in the manager, why would you start buying these 18-year-olds? I just think they're looking at buying into a long-term project with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and unless it goes downhill very, very quickly and he loses the players, I don't see him being sacked, to be honest. But as I said, you can have your say. If you want to, come on the stream and call in, please let me know. Right, Alex Tellez, probably one of the standout signings really from this transfer window for Manchester United. Someone who we didn't really think was going to come to United. Wasn't someone who was on the agenda at the start of the window. But actually, again, for me, similar to Donny van der Beek, I don't think this is a bad bit of business, especially for £14 million. I think Alex Tellez coming, it does kind of give me Emerson Palmieri vibes when Chelsea bought Emerson off Roma. It does give me that sort of vibes, but he does look very, very good. He looks like a decent player, cap for Brazil as well. So I think he's a decent player. It's just, is he going to go straight in for Luke Shaw? Is that a big statement that's been made by Solskjaer? We'll have to wait and see. But I think for £14 million, it's not a bad bit of business by Manchester United, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, even though I'm saying, some of these signings are not bad bits of business, I still think that the overall transfer windows was a shambles, and we didn't get the players we needed. We didn't sign a centre-back. We didn't sign Sancho. Realistically, those were the two things that we needed to get done. I think if we got both of those done, people would have forgiven the rest of the transfer window. But because we didn't get that done, then it is what it is. Because the 18-year-olds are no risk for any manager. Yeah, I don't know, mate. Listen, we'll move on from that. Edinson Cavani has come in from Paris Saint-Germain, and as Matthew stated there, will wear the number 7 shirt for Manchester United. I think it's a decent sign. Well, I was kind of lying there when I said it's a decent signing. I think it's an interesting one. It's a left field one. No one saw this one coming. Very late, reeks of desperation once again from Manchester United. On a free, I think we're paying him, 250 grand a week, which again is ridiculous. And as a lot of people were saying yesterday, it gives you mad Falcao vibes. But he is someone who scored a lot of goals. He scored goals in finals, in World Cups, in Confederations Cups, in the South American tournament. I don't know what that's called, but I'll probably get back to me. Copa America, I should say. Copa America, he scored goals in there. He scored over 200 goals for PSG as well. He's a proven goal scorer, and he's got the nod from the likes of Van Persie, among others, Rio Ferdinand as well. But in the end of the day, it's a 33-year-old for 2 years. It's not someone that's gonna help us win trophies for seasons to come. It's a very kind of short-term thing, and I think maybe Solskjaer thinks that's a big priority. He must do. The fact that we panicked and got a signing in at the last minute of a striker suggests to me that he must think a striker is a bigger priority than the defence, which to me is mental. That is mental. But Cavani, you got to hope he does a better job than Ighalo, and I think he can do. But at the same time, it's he is 33 years old, and we don't know. He hasn't played for PSG in ages. He was a free agent as well, so. I'm not sure what to make of that one. In some ways, I'm kind of happy that we have brought in a striker of his caliber, but you think if we got Cavani 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been buzzing with that. I think he's a decent. He was a very, very good striker back then. He was in the prime of his career. Now he's a little bit over the hill and also a little bit injury prone as well. And that is something we've got to look out for. Young Lion, thanks for joining, mate. Really appreciate it. Cheers for joining, mate. How are you doing? Daz has joined as well. Thanks for joining. He says, Tellez is a good signing, but Cavani is very, very questionable, made by United. It just shows that the Glazers are rushing transfers because they have no plan, I feel, for Ollie. Shocking. 100% agree, mate. 100% agree. Also, East has joined us. Thanks for joining. He says, I wouldn't call it a bad window, however. I would call it a rush window. It's like the signing we made last minute. Cavani was a surprising inclusion. Let's hope it pays off. I hope so, mate. You got to think, the only thing I can think of is that Ollie thought it was a massive, massive priority, and the fact that he probably will do a better job than someone like Ighalo. So that's the only positive I can see with this. All Red Door Studio G, thanks for joining, appreciate it. Yeah, of course you can come on, mate. I'll put the thing in the chat. I'll put the invite in the chat so you can join, and then once G, because I haven't had G on in a while. So see, I'm looking forward to seeing what G has to say. I saw his streams yesterday. Obviously, a lot to go, a lot to do. But yeah, you can come on, mate. Obviously, there you go. If you want to join, I'll have you on, because I haven't really had people on really calling. I had Dazza on actually, which was great. So yeah, read a few more comments. Young Lion says Cavani's pretty decent signing. Great upgrade, and Odi Nagalo could compete with Anthony depending on his form. Well, he'll have to compete with Anthony Martial now. He's out for 3 games, so Cavani's going to be our main striker probably, and the number 7 shirt as well. Let me know what you guys think about that. Number 7. I'm not sure. A lot of people have voiced their frustrations already. Actually, Matthew's saying that it's ridiculous, as bad as giving it to Michael Owen, he said. So it's obviously frustrating. But we got to back him. In the end of the day, we have to back him. We have to, hope he does well. And as I said, he is a proven goal scorer. He's someone who scored goals for PSG. And you've got to have hope with that. That has got to give us hope. Sifa says the only thing Cavani will compete with is who gets the wheelchair parking at the training ground. Look, Sifo, even though I'm laughing, I hate you for that. No, mate. Listen, he is injury prone. You can't get away from that. He is injury prone. There's no doubt. But you've got to hope that when he is fit, kind of like Ibrahimovic, when he is fit, he roars and he gets us goals. That's what you got to hope. But I feel like Cavani is the sort of player who in these cup competitions could do bits for us. He could do. If he's on form, if he's doing well, he could really do bits for us. But yeah, listen, as I said, we're just going through all the transfers really. And as I said, 75 million spent, 75 million pounds spent overall, with Dean Henderson coming in. Of course, Dean Henderson being one of the main guys. But we've got 2 guests on. I might actually, I'll tell you what, we'll do a duo thing here. We'll get both on at the same time. G did ask first. I'll ask G the first question. But guys, I want to have fun. Guys, hey, how are you doing? We've got G and Daryl on, Daz's Football Stand, Red Devil Studio. Guys, how are you doing?
We're good, man. We're good.
Well, thanks for joining. Good. Well, as good as we can be at this time, as good as we can be after that shambles of a transfer window. But this is a first for me. I don't think I've had both of you on at the same time, so it's great. It's always great to try new things. But as I said, I'm going to ask G the first question. In terms of the transfer window, I've seen here we spent about £75 million overall in the transfer window. I want to, first of all, sum up your overall feelings of how you felt this transfer window went. And out of the signings that we did make, who do you think is going to make the best impact?
Well, first and foremost, that's 75 million total. That's not even including the net spend when you subtract, obviously, the fact that we sold Chris Smalling for, I think it was 80 million, I think. We obviously let Pereira go on loan, so obviously we saved wages from that. We've obviously let Sanchez go, so we've saved goodness knows how many millions from that. So if you actually look at one of the total net spend for United, it's probably under 40 million, to be honest. And you're like, really? The biggest club in the world that's making billions, and our net spend this summer transfer window was 40 million. That's less than Newcastle. And so, it's been you probably saw the stream yesterday. We were ranting like it's been I'm not going to mince it. It's been a terrible transfer window. It's probably been the worst transfer window, that in United history. And it's in the context of other teams, because you look at Everton, bought effectively a new midfield, look great. You look at Spurs with Reguilon and Bale, though Bale is a risk, arguably, with his injuries. And even that Vinicius lone striker, Doherty as a defender, Højbjerg as another midfielder. So 4 or 5 signings to improve their squad on top of the team that they already have in the likes of Son and Harry Kane. Liverpool, yes, okay, they only made 2 signings, but they were good signings in Thiago and Jota to add depth to a already competitive squad. Yes, I know they got bantered 7-2 by Villa, and that basically made my weekend, so a terrible result. But let's be real, they recently won a Premier League and a Champions League, and it's probably going to be a blip. So, City, right? Let's just go and City. We're talking about the fact that we can't get defenders. City spent 90 million on defenders. They spent 65 million on Diaz, and then they spent it was even more, actually 105, because Ake I think was 40 million. So 40 million on Ake. 65 million. So City this window spent 105 million on defenders, centre backs. I could go on. Talk about teams like Newcastle, even with Wilson, etc. So the reality is that Manchester United signed left back Alex Telles. Fair enough. He wasn't our first choice, but fair enough. Could give good competition to Luke Shaw and could improve. But frankly, that signing could have been done at the start of the window. Alex Telles is in the final year of his contract. Was going to the final year of his contract. And United could have easily been like, right, we're not paying you anything. And he goes for free in January with a pre-contractual agreement. That's it. So that could have been resolved early on in the transfer window. Cavani, again, free agent. So that, again, could have been reserved early on in the transfer window. His agent before said Cavani is only going to go to Manchester United for money. And here we are. So I'm not entirely sure how people think that this is going to be a good... He's 33. Yes, I get that I posted a video on my channel where I was like, and maybe it was my initial emotional reaction, but I was very much like, this is a panic buy. He's 33. He has some injury issues. His last year in PSG wasn't great. And more worryingly, the guy hasn't played football for 6 months. Okay, so people expecting him to be match fit. Like Ighalo, as much as people have an issue with Ighalo is at least close to match fitness. Edison Cavani has not played professional football for 6 months. So to expect him to, now that Martial's suspended, to come into that team and just kick ball, really? I wouldn't even, let alone the adaptation to the Premier League. And then on top of that, he hasn't played professional football for 6 months. He's going to be way off the pace. He won't be ready until so that in itself is a risk. Van der Beek, I think, was a good signing for us. I agree with that. But it's just that it was more of a depth signing, because if we're honest, it's great having Van der Beek if Pogba or Bruno are off form if they're injured. But it's a depth signing. It's not this is the player that's going to massively improve. I don't think any United fan was saying, right, okay, Van der Beek is infinitely better than Pogba or Bruno. So we didn't actually sign a player that you think, right, okay, this player is going to come into our first squad and give this person competition, aside from Alex Telles. That's it. The other two, Adam Traore and Pellistri, are potentials, I think. So where are we? That's it. We haven't reinforced in any areas as centre-back, CDM. We're getting a risk of a striker. So aside from left-back, that's it. And when you look at the players that... So I'm ranting here, but I'll just keep
going, man. No, it's good.
Sounding off. For Arsenal to sign Thomas Partey, someone who I wanted at the club for ages. It was the same thing when Fabinho went to Liverpool. I was like, we need a CDM to replace Matic. We need someone who's got tenacious. Get Fabinho from Monaco. Looks good. Fabinho goes to Liverpool. Okay, Thomas Partey's there. Get Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey goes to Arsenal now, and they're gassing and they're bantering us, and they look like Arsenal look like it. To be honest, if Özil actually was prime Özil, it could actually be bothered, Arsenal for me would have the most complete squad. They've got strength in all areas. They've got depth, so they've got good attacking options, good defensive options, got a packed midfield. They should be challenging for top 4, if not even the title. Let's not even talk about Chelsea, who've signed 7 players in one window and 2 players in Pulisic and Havertz before. So they've effectively signed a whole new squad in 2 windows. We've only signed 6 players, I think, not excluding the outgoings that we had in like the Lukaku, and so on. So yeah, like I said, Telles looks like a good signing. We've got to see how he adapts to the Premier League. For me, he's probably the only player that I'm out of all the three that I've mentioned that I'm most excited for, because I feel that with him, from what I've seen on YouTube and his clips, I don't watch Portal a lot. For me, he seems to be really good going forward and putting crosses in the box. So him there maybe gives us another option in terms of how we play, because frankly, Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are not good wing backs. Wan-Bissaka is good, at least semi-defensively, as a right back or as a right-sided centre back, and likewise Luke Shaw. But going forward, putting crosses in, they're just not good enough. They're not. So having someone like Telles, who might be good, suddenly you're thinking, okay, maybe we can play like a 3-5-2 or a diamond or something like that, where we can give a bit more width, because suddenly you've got someone like Telles who can actually deliver a cross, which will be good for likes of Cavani, Martial, and even Rashford to support them. And so suddenly that left side looks a bit more more dangerous because we've got that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, because I'm like, okay, we've got some improvement in my squad there. Van der Beek, again, depth. Cavani, who knows? And that's it. And the worst thing is that, because of the nature of the transfer window, less than 2 months, where like we're going to be doing this all over again. The January transfer window will open, and it's just like, oh, I can't deal. But anyway, that's my 2 cents, guys. It's been bad. And if Solskjaer gets top 4 with this squad, considering what everyone else has done, it will be a miracle, and it literally will be a miracle. Because I'm not looking forward to PSG right now. It's peak, but
yeah. Listen, I'll go. Actually, go, mate. Go.
Yeah. The point you made about the likes of Fabinho and all them going to different clubs. The only reason that we didn't sign him was because our board is too slow. Same with the Sancho deal. Sancho isn't a United player because the Glaciers have took far too long in trying to get the deal done. They take too long, and then the players get fed up of waiting for so long and decide to go to a different club. If you're going to take too long, then what's the point of being part of the board if you're just not going to do things quick enough?
I agree. And this is the thing, is like, if you look at the amount of players the United were linked with, at one point in this window, we were linked with Gabriel. It was between, there was a link, Arsenal went in, we got, and they got him. We were linked with Reguilon. Obviously, I know the buyback clause was an issue. I get that. But we were like, Chelsea, I think at one point, we weren't, Haaland went to Dortmund, but fair enough. Bellingham left, Grealish, okay, too expensive. We've got Van der Beek, that's fine. But with quite a lot of players, we spend more time trying to negotiate and barter so we can get £1 million off, whereas these other clubs are decisive and are like, right, okay, we want this player, we're going to buy this player, and we're going to do it, more importantly, early in the transfer window. I don't get who runs Manchester United deals where, because I know that Sancho was a priority, but I always said going into this transfer window that I don't want a situation where if we can't deal with Dortmund, because Dortmund said we're not going to let Sancho go past August 10th. So the incompetence, if we'd have been like, right, okay, that's it, we can't get Sancho, August 10th, it's over deadline, fine. We still got a good month to get a replacement right winger and use that potential 120 million for other signings. Cool. Fine, I've got no problem with it, because it's you get Dembele, negotiate the Dembele thing, maybe whatever, so that you strengthen your squad. Instead, you were like, yes, I know Dortmund said that, but we'll just kind of try and hope that if we speak to Sancho and his agent, that Sancho might force a move, put a contract request in, maybe the last day, maybe Dortmund will, and we spend so much energy trying to do that we don't go and look at other secondary targets. So that when the window was closing and it was looking like Sancho wasn't coming, then suddenly we're like, okay, we need to rush and get Dembele done. Okay, we need to do this. Okay, we need to do that. And you're like, what's going on? If you can't get your primary targets, you should at least have good secondary targets on standby and be able to get them no problem.
Yep.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
I was just to jump in. I was going to say 100% with the Sancho thing is like, you know, you look at it, like I've been saying this like just for ages. The fact that if like we knew surely that they weren't going to accept, you know, 80 million pounds whatever we're offering them. Like they said, and I think Michael Sort whatever came out and said we've said like 27 times already. You know, pay the money. Like unless you pay the fee, we're not selling him. And even then, I'm not even sure if they would have sold him. They probably would have done in the end, but it doesn't matter now. But like, I don't understand why we didn't go. You know what? Okay, yeah, we'll take the L on that. We're not paying that much for Sancho. Let's go behind this. You know, do some other deals because I can guarantee you, you know, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, they would have done that if they knew they weren't getting him and they said, right, well, we've got this money to play with now. We can strengthen other areas. We could buy in, I don't know, I guess like an Upamecano or a centre back or someone like that. You know, they would have looked at areas that actually need to strengthen. Instead, obviously, as you said, we're just kind of buying in Traore and Palestri and these sort of guys on deadline day. You know, people saying we can loan Dembele and stuff like that. Where I think we were going for a few wingers, and then I think a lot of journalists were saying that they wanted a permanent transfer, not a loan, and we were trying to get loans everywhere. And so I just feel like we've been here before so many times with the loans as well. But Daryl, obviously, you know, we heard G there saying a lot of truth, saying a lot of facts, I have to say. For you, mate, if you look at this transfer window, which signing for you stands out most? And just what are your overall thoughts? Do you think, I mean, I don't think many United fans are going to say it's been a good window, but how would you rate the transfer window overall?
I think first of all, I think the Tellers signing, probably the best signing out of the lot. And obviously Van der Beek, we brought him in mainly just for squad depth. And I think our midfield needed strengthening quite a lot. I'm quite annoyed actually, because Cavani, is he really a player that we really need? I mean, I know we can do with a backup striker because I personally don't think Ighalo's good enough, and we rushed the Ighalo signing in January, and now we've made another signing, but we rushed it again. So it's like the repeat of January, isn't it? We're just rushing signings, and the Glaciers seem to be picking the players they want instead of the ones that Ollie wants. Ollie wants a certain player, and they won't go and buy him. I mean, I feel sorry for Ollie because, you know, I mean, Ollie gets a lot of stick for, you know, all these games and stuff and players not playing well. And at the end of the day, you have to question the board, really, don't you? We needed not really just a left back. We needed more central defenders because Lindelof, Maguire, it just showed by the last few games they're not good enough at all. And I think it's not been a great transfer window whatsoever. So if I'm being honest, probably a 4 out of 10. The only good signing being Tellez. And we signed Van der Beek, and he's not starting him. What's the point of signing someone if you're not going to start him?
Just quickly then on that, where would you put Van der Beek in that midfield? Would you say he should be a Matic replacement then, or do you think, because if you want to start him, who would you swap out for Van der Beek?
Personally, I don't think Fred's good enough as a CDM. I don't, and I've said this before, I don't see Fred as a holding midfielder. Because if you look at him at Shakhtar, he was more of a centre mid / centre attacking mid, not a holding midfielder. So either him or Pogba, because I don't think Pogba for me is just, he's very inconsistent. One game he does well.
But sorry to interrupt you, Daryl, but this is the big problem I feel with Manchester United right now is that, you know, unlike other teams that seem to be like, right, we identifying a player to play in a particular position to strengthen an area. With Manchester United, we just seem to get players and try and make them work in a system. So examples. A lot we get Daniel James. Daniel James was a left winger when he was at Leeds, I think it was. We get him and we're like, right, Swansea. Sorry, Tom. It's Leeds are linked with getting him. That's why I got confused. We get him when we're like, right, okay. Even though we thought it was potential, I think he even thought he was going to be just potential. He comes in and we're like, right, okay, you play on the right wing. It's like, well, hang on a minute. I was a left winger, so yes, okay, fine. I'll try and do a job, but that wasn't his. It was actual role. Fred, as you just sort of mentioned, was a holding sort of thing. Right, okay, no, just going to put you as a CDM because we need someone to play there. Right, okay, but that's not where I used to play. Oh, right, okay, Pogba, you just drop back and hold back. Wait, at Juventus there was a bit more box to box holding sort of. So I'm not saying that these players cost £1 million, millions get paid millions of pounds. They should be able to do a job elsewhere, etc. But what I'm saying is that the grossly incompetent selection transfer ability of this board, where we just get players and just offer players to a manager without actually thinking about how these players actually improve the squad, is stupid. So someone like Telles is probably an intelligent signing based on how we want to play. Fair enough. I can see how that works and how we can maybe play a different way or different system with Telles in the squad. But Van der Beek, it's a good depth signing, but considering the fact that Matic is probably the only true CDM, don't you think it would have been a good idea to get a CDM to play that holding role than just another midfielder who adds depth? That makes any sense. So what I'm saying, Daryl, essentially is just like our recruitment ties into what you're saying, and because of that, we just end up playing players in makeshift positions to compensate, and that makes us worse. You know what I mean?
Very fair point. Very, very fair point.
Well,
sorry, go on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Darryl, mate, do you want to finish your point? If you can remember what one you're making.
Really.
To
be honest, I don't think there's anything else I could really say. Really.
Fair enough.
Speechless.
Exactly. It pretty well sums up. Not having much to say pretty well sums up every Man United fan right now. I just want to say thanks to everyone watching as well. We're all reading your comments and stuff, so keep getting them in. And any questions you want to ask as well, feel free to let me know, and I'll ask them out to the panel. But Tom, we've also got Tom here as well. Tom, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it. Obviously, someone who's been tweeting a lot about transfer news over this period. So almost putting in as much work as Romano over this period. So, Tom, mate, how are you doing? And similar question to what these guys asked these guys. In terms of the transfer window, from your point of view, we've talked a lot about Alex Telles. He seems to be like the main one at the moment being mentioned. But who to you sticks out, and how do you think the transfer window has been handled and managed?
Well, in terms of handled and managed, it's like they've gone in there with a blindfold over their head, and with obviously what happened with Dortmund and everything. Best phrase to put it is they've been caught with their pants down. Pretty much, it's as simple as that. Next summer, 100%. There's going to be more clubs interested in Jadon Sancho. So United are playing a very hardball game, because next season I would probably expect Dortmund to up the price on Jadon Sancho. I don't think it's going to get any less, or it's going to stick where it's going to be. So
and the competition.
The competition. Barcelona have signed Dos. That's it. They've not signed anybody else. They need another attacker. They wanted to sign Depay, but they couldn't offload Dembele, so they didn't end up getting Depay. So suddenly there's still room up front there for them to go and get somebody. Jadon Sancho would be a perfect player for them. And, to replace, maybe as a long-term replacement to Lionel Messi, Jadon Sancho isn't a bad option on the right-hand side for Barcelona, because Messi's not going to be there forever. He is going to, at some point, have to hang the boots up. And that's going to be when. But for me, if I'm being honest, not a lot of people have given a lot of positivity towards it. I think Cavani, because I think Cavani can have. Cavani can have an impact. And the reason why I'll say this is, it can go one or two ways. It can be a Falcao signing, or it can be a Ibrahimovic signing. And I think it's leaning more towards Ibrahimovic. And the reason why I'll say that is, he is like for like of Ibrahimovic. Falcao's a different player for me. He's a lot quicker. He's a lot more mobile than Ibrahimovic or a Cavani. And like with the Tellez signing, that's smart because if you have Tellez playing as maybe a wing back, if you use that system, and Tellez can put balls in the box, Cavani's going to be there in the box, and he's known to be on the end of crosses, either with his feet or with his head. And that the difference between Cavani and Martial is Martial tends to drift out wide and tries to link up with, say, Rashford or Greenwood, or a quick 1-2, and then you're in behind. Whereas with Cavani, he'll stand in the box, you give him the service, and he will score. That is pretty much Cavani summed up right there. And Cavani has an amazing track record for goals. Over his whole tenure at PSG, he has been the third highest goal scorer in all 5 major competitions, behind Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi for the past time that he's been at PSG. And that dates back to when Ronaldo was still at United. So it's still a very good track record in terms of Cavani. And what Cavani brings to United is, and I'll get into a bit of details about the actual signing because some people don't actually know the full in-depth detail about it. But Cavani improves players like Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood isn't going to be a player who's going to stand there in the box and get on the end of crosses. He's not known for his heading ability. So Cavani will improve him. He will improve players like Grealish. He will improve some of the other younger lads coming through the ranks. If he stays beyond, such as when Chong comes, it will make Chong more physical as a player. And Cavani brings mental strength. And mental strength in football is a big thing because if you don't have the mentality to do things, so if you don't have the mentality and the belief to come back from 2 goals behind, young players like Greenwood and everything haven't been in that predicament where there might be 3 goals behind, but you've still got to believe that you can still get back in the game. And Cavani brings that belief and that leadership. But just on Cavani, obviously just chucked out there that he's been offered to all the clubs around Europe and everything. It's not in that much detail, but before deadline day, it was probably 2 weeks from deadline day. So when it was about 14 days left of the window, Cavani was offered to 4 clubs that I know of. He was offered to Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Manchester United, and Benfica. Benfica went back in for him after the first deal collapsed, and they went back in a second time to try and get him. Benfica pulled out again because of the agent fees, and they couldn't bunk him down. That's one off the list. Atletico Madrid went in for Suarez, so they would have 3 forwards then, Felix, Suarez, and Diego Costa. They don't need another forward. Then it suddenly leaves 2 clubs, and Cavani had the choice between, because at the time Juventus needed a striker, and until they went out and bought somebody. So suddenly Cavani had a choice. It was United or it was Juventus, and Cavani ended up choosing Manchester United over Juventus, which in terms of a statement, Juventus are still on the rebuilding phase. Cavani used to play in Italy and he loves the country, but he chose Manchester United over Juventus. And in terms of the wage structure and everything, Cavani was the person who was behind the whole agent fees. Manchester United did not pay €10 million agent fees. They lowered that down to 7.5 million agent fees, which in terms of the whole deal, a player of his caliber is not a bad deal. And he is going to earn 185k per week, not 200k a week. He lowered the demands down because when a lot of people were saying, "Oh, why is Tellez being announced before Cavani?" Sure, because Cavani was agreed before Tellez. And I said that's because we're still negotiating the prices down.
But this,
that's the main detail.
Not to interrupt you, Tom, but like this is what I'm saying.
No
this just shows how grossly ridiculous Manchester United's wage structure is. 185k for someone who's 33, who's basically going to be a backup option. Maybe he comes into first team, but that 100, like Salah, Mane. I think Salah might be on 200. I don't think Mane is on it. So Son and Harry Kane are definitely not on that money. The likes of Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, etc. On that. The amount of top players in the league, let alone in the likes of the La Liga, that are Bayern, for example, that are nowhere near this amount of money, that we're spending 185k a week on someone who is effectively going to be a bench player, for me is a summary of what is wrong at Manchester United. You know, so and obviously I know that Igalo was the same, was about 100, I think 160, 70 maybe as well. But you know, it's like this is also one of the reasons why we can't sell off some of our players who we offer contracts to, like Phil Jones, etc., a 4 or 5 year contract on 150 or 60k a week, and we wonder why we can't sell these players off because we can't get clubs to pay these types of wages. It's just ridiculous, and just the way that we even casually sort of say it, it's like we just need to remember, like, this is not, you know, we're now thinking that we might finish 8th or 10th, and yet our squad is the most expensive squad in the Premier League in terms of our outflow. That's insane. It's insane. But anyway, go on. It's just frustrating.
I know.
I was just going to say, TTX is coming in saying you're far too negative, mate. You're far too negative.
You have to be real. You have to be real here. Like I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to get people to understand, like, that. I don't think people quite understand how, like, it's one thing to be behind City and Liverpool. Okay, we got that because the whole point is trying to go close. But based on signings and even just the initial first games of football alone, I can see us already being behind Arsenal. Arsenal have won all their 3 games and now have strengthened. I can see us being behind Chelsea because their players are now starting to come back, their signings. I can see us being behind Everton, who look completely different, and so on. So, you know, how far, you know, and people will say, oh, right, okay, cool, let's get Ollie out. That'll resolve things. Will it, though? So I think
no.
You know, I think that why I'm saying this is, like, I'm subconsciously preparing myself to have a low expectation for Manchester United this season. And if I'm honest, my expectations right now are Manchester United aren't finishing top 4, probably 6th, maybe 7th, and we're not qualifying from the Champions League group stage. You know, we might get a decent cup run, like, say, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, to a semi-final. That's basically where with this squad, that's basically where it is. And I don't see, unless by some miracle, any advancement on that, you know, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, obviously, you know, you can say, I mean, I say everyone's entitled to their opinion, whatever you think. But in my opinion, I would say, especially at this point, it's hard. It's almost hard to be too negative with Manchester United at this point. I think
it's what we have to
in some ways. Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. When I saw all the stuff happen in the transfer window, I was almost resigned to it because I felt like we hadn't learned our lesson. I was less angry and I was more just like, this is what we are now. It was similar to that Spurs game. You know, when the 5th and 6th goal were going in, I was thinking, this is us now. You know, this is it.
It could have been Brighton as well. Could have been Brighton.
It could have been.
Post 5 times. That could have been
exactly
7-2, 7-3.
100%. It was that result in hindsight was coming. It was definitely coming. But yeah, TTX, mate, keep your comments coming in. Keep letting us know. keep telling us that we're wrong. If you want to tell us we're wrong, please do. Don't be afraid. LSR Preding Star, he says Cavani is the best striker. Okay, I'm not sure if that's a troll comment. He says Cavani is the best striker out there that we could get. Come on, we're the biggest club and the greatest club ever. But Daryl, we wouldn't have got Lewandowski.
Would have had a better chance of getting Troy Deeney.
Mate, Troy Deeney, I tell you what, at least he has a bit of passion, you know. At least he's got a bit of balls. He's got cojones, whatever you call them. He says, come on, we're the biggest club and the greatest club ever. We shouldn't be negative. We're better than the rest. Listen, you've got to be real.
Yeah.
In terms of finance and economics, yeah, we're the biggest commercial asset. We're a good big commercial club globally.
Yeah, let's celebrate that.
Yeah, we can celebrate that. That's great. But if you're actually thinking about football, like, come on, like, wake up, mate. Like,
nobody cares about the finances.
No,
we
haven't won a title
on the pitch.
We haven't won a major trophy since 2012, 2013. Okay, we're going into 20
the Europa League.
Even if you know, and most people. And 16, but you would at least expect that Manchester United in 7 or 8 years would at least compete for a major honor.
Yeah, well,
we haven't even been
competed.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even come close to
We've
competing
not
for a
been in a
title.
title race or anything.
No, for 8 years. Yes, Mourinho finished second in that season, but we weren't in a title race.
Yeah,
let's be where we weren't.
That's what you call a miracle.
The Champions League, you know, quarterfinal stage, I think, but let's be real, nowhere near. So, if you know, to be a big club, you have to compete for the big trophies, and that's your league title, and then that's the Champions League. That is what a big club does. It's as simple as that. And the fact that we've not won any of those, or even come close to competing to any of those in the last 5 years, that's not being negative. That's just being realistic.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying acting like we didn't win a treble in 2017. Listen. I feel like
don't even just
listen. I admire your positive. I don't know where you're getting this optimism and positivity from. I don't know where you're getting it. I admire it. But in the end of the day, we bantered Mourinho for calling it a treble. You know,
I banter Pep from calling his domestic thing a treble. So it's not a treble, Pep. You know, the Carabao Cup is not a part of a treble. You need to win the Champions League. You know, so come on,
it's like though with Man United though, when it came up with the stats and everything yesterday on deadline day, Man United got outspent by Aston Villa. Aston Villa, clubs like Aston Villa, Leeds just got promoted. You know, come on. Like Man United spent 50 million. You know, and that was Tellers and thingy. Probably close to 57 million if you include the agent fees for Ciaran. That's it. 57 million. You know, where's the £100 million that we got from qualifying for the Champions League? Where the hell's that gone?
These are like the local councils that just keep the money and do sod all with it.
Sounds about right, Dale. I'm not gonna lie, sounds about right. As I say, keep your comments in. I know it's getting late, to be fair, so I'm not gonna drag it on for too much longer. But I'm enjoying it though. This is great. You know, I don't usually have these sort of guests on, all these guests on at once, so I'm really enjoying it actually. And that else as well. Make sure you do check out G Red Devil Studio. And Dazzler's Football Stand as well. Make sure you do check them out on YouTube if you haven't already. Great stuff on there. And also check out Tom on Twitter. Tom, if you want to put your Twitter handle in the chat, please do feel free to do so. But make sure you do check him out. Great stuff on there. But as I said, make sure you check these guys out. Great stuff. If you're enjoying the stream as well, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe as well if you're feeling nice. But anyway, we'll read a few of the comments. Go on.
Third goalkeeper. Not sure if you can put it up on the screen.
Is it the one with talking about financially why do we need a third choice goalkeeper?
Yeah, that one. It's always good to have a third goalkeeper because if your number one choice keeper ends up getting injured or gets a red card or something, then your substitute keeper goes in goal and he has to go on the bench. Always a good idea to have a third one.
Adrian.
Although there's some teams who do have 4, but I think 4's too much. 3's just right. If you have 2, then you're sort of risking it if you've only got 2. Because what if?
How much are we paying Dean Henderson? How much are we paying Dean Henderson? By the way, I'm fairly sure Dean Henderson is also on
120.
It's 120.
Yeah, I think it's 120k, which is madness in my opinion. But anyway,
so De Gea is 300. We still got Lee Grant, who's probably less than 100, maybe, or something like that. So effectively, we're paying.
I think he's on like 60.
60. So effectively, we're paying just under $500,000 a month in goalkeeping fees, and that's on goalkeepers. You know, like and you look at how much, like, let's say Leeds assembled their squad or something, and I just can't deal. I really, really, I really, really like because this is the thing. The frustrating thing is that I understand the whole idea of we don't have any money. I understand the idea. The problem is that, but we do have money, which is number one, and the money that we do spend, it's misspent. So it's spent on ridiculous fees for our players that we agree contract, and rather than actually say, right, okay, you know what, we're gonna not give this player a new contract, for example, or gonna maybe see if this player can earn said new contract. We offer ridiculous wages and extend their contracts when it would be potentially cheaper, more reasonable to buy a player from abroad. It's just so it's not even the financial sense of Manchester United just doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. And I appreciate that there are people watching that say that we shouldn't be negative. But at the end of the day, like, this has been going on for at least 7 to 8 years now. And it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. And, you know, if people want regular 6-1s, by all means, because that's potentially what we're going to be seeing this season and beyond.
Yeah, I think for me the main thing is the fact that I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's the most frustrating thing, and almost the most depressing thing is, like, I think the worst thing for me is the fact that we ended last season. We thought, you know, there has been a little bit of progress. We are kind of going in the right direction somewhat, and then it just seems like all of that's been completely undone within 3 games and a transfer window.
It happened with Mourinho, though. It happened with Mourinho. He finished second, and then, you know, we say, oh yeah, we're going to back him everything and try and push to challenge City the following year. We don't even go and buy him a defender that he wanted. He wanted a defender. He wanted specifically Harry Maguire. You know, and then we didn't even go and get him anybody. He wanted either Harry Maguire or Koulibaly, and we didn't go and get him anybody. And then it spiraled out, and before long, he was gone at Christmas. You know, people who's asking for Ollie to be out and everything. All I'm going to say is this. Put Pochettino in the shoes that Ollie's at right now. Put any manager, Nagelsmann, Klopp. What can you do when you've got crap in front of you? What can you actually do? You can't. You can try and improve it somewhat. How do you improve Phil Jones? Seriously, how do you improve Phil Jones? How do you improve, you know, Luke Shaw's positioning? At the weekend, he was leaking balls down that side, and I think all he needed to get a left back, regardless of if it was somebody from, you know, that high caliber. And, you know, people are obviously complaining about what's happened with Cavani and everything. People were still crying out for Sancho on the last day. Seriously, did anybody honestly believe Sancho was going to sign on the last day? Let's be honest. If Manchester United were going to sign Sancho, they would have done it, you know, a couple of days prior to it. They wouldn't leave it until the last day to sign somebody like that. But, you know, it just begs the question of the whole recruitment process at United. I understand the signings of Traore and Pellistri. I understand those 2 signings because they've signed 2 young players to take over from 2 older wingers. They've signed these 2 young wingers to take over from, such as Mata when he leaves, or if he stays on and just be a squad player, and such as Lingard. I know the reasoning behind them 2, but I don't see the reasoning of, so who's the first choice right now? Oh, it's still Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood gets injured. You need to do a whole formation shift, because then you might have to play 5 at the back and have 2 strikers up front. You know, it's you know, I'm putting any manager in the shoes right now. You know, you put Poch in. People saying, oh, people have been begging for Pochettino and everything. I don't see what Pochettino could do anything different. I don't think he can. Yeah, he might change the way we play and, you know, the system and everything, but you've got all he would have to do right now, if you sack Dolly, is he's got to use what he's got until he can get to a January. And then all he's going to get is he's getting an 18-year-old on board. And then probably won't buy anybody in January because they'd say, right, stay out the season and then have a summer window to plan everything. A manager doesn't like and Ollie, I think one point, and I know no manager has honestly had a pre-season. Liverpool have had part of a pre-season. City and Man United. I think the main reason why they aren't doing as well as they should be, they've had no pre-season. They've had no preparation, no planning. They've had 1 game. Man United played Aston Villa. That was it. You know, play Cavani and everything should be signed before you are planning for the main season. Now you've got to throw Cavani in the deep end at Newcastle. I think Martial will be. That's in a different competition, but you know, you're throwing in Cavani, who's not played any games at all, and expect him to go up against Newcastle. I think we'll lose to Newcastle, if I'm honest. With some of their signings, if we get caught on the wrong end of the foot, If we get caught on the break with Fraser, Wilson, or St. Maximan, we're in trouble, big trouble. It wouldn't surprise me if that little I can't remember what his name was, that ginger kid. I can't remember what his name was. In midfield.
Longstaff. Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
It wouldn't surprise me if his little brother scored again. Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me if about 4 of them scored, to be honest with you, the way we're defending. Just want to say, by the way, a shout out to a few people. Man United Bonafide, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it. And also thanks for joining Rich as well. Great channels there, as well as the ones we've got on right now, Red Devil Studio and Daz's Football Stand. I remember I was on Rich's Spurs preview. Oh, those were the days before the Spurs game. Those were the days. And, you know, obviously we were chatting, and I remember Rich and Man United Bonafide were both on there. So make sure you do check them out if you haven't already. Great stuff on there. But as I said, I'm really enjoying this. I am really enjoying this. But I do realise that, you know, people do have things to do. It's like nearly midnight, so I don't want to keep you guys. I don't want to keep you too long. So I'll just ask one more thing, unless anyone else has anything to ask us in the comments quickly. I just want to go around, and after the transfer window, for me, my realistic expectation is that I think the realistic expectation is obviously always going to be top 4, but my realistic expectation of what's going to actually happen is probably 6th place, looking at everyone else. I'm just going to go around everyone. Tom's left us. Oh, well, if Tom comes back, I'll ask him. If he doesn't, then thanks for Tom for coming on, if that is the last time we see him. I'll ask you two then. What do you think realistically United fans should be expecting this season? And we'll start with Daryl.
I mean, if we keep playing like we are, crap, basically. I think we'll just have to see how what happens with these new signings, really. But if they don't seem to be as good as they look, then we could be having a pretty poor season. I don't think we're going to push for top 4. There's no way we're going to get top 4 this season. Then again, I think we said that last season, and we ended up getting up there somehow. So you never know.
Our defence wasn't this bad, I would say. That's all I'd say. Our defence.
It's the defence that really lets us down, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So I think if we continue playing as bad as we are, then we'll probably be lucky to finish mid-table. But if we start picking up the form, I think we might just scrape a Europa League spot. But it'll probably be another one of them last day ones. Because I know what we always do. We always like to leave things late. Just like the wages. Also, one thing I was going to mention whilst Tom was on was because he was mentioning Cavani. Obviously, the thing with Cavani is he's one of them players who's in the right place at the right time. And he was at PSG. And I'm actually quite surprised he didn't go to Juventus. Obviously, because he mentioned, you know, he's played in Italy, scored something like 78 goals for Napoli. So he's got a good record in the Serie A and he knows the league. The players like Tellez, Cavani and all them, it'll take them a bit, I'd say, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, maybe to sort of get used to how we play and get used to the Premier League, because it's a new league for them, different backgrounds. Obviously, you know, like Tellez, he doesn't speak English, so he's going to have to learn the language and all that. So I think it'll take time for them to settle in, but hopefully they'll turn out to be good signings. But I think with regards to place, either 5th or 6th. I mean, as long as we finish at least top half, that'll do me for the minute.
Wow.
I know I shouldn't be saying that, but given the current circumstances, you know. But we could get some good signings in January. So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, you could argue it's kind of similar in a way, the fact that, you know, we were crap and then we got Bruno Fernandes in and all of a sudden we just started clicking. So maybe in January he will get his Bruno Fernandes. I'm not holding out for anything. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest with you, but who knows? But G, if you're there, obviously the same thing as Daryl. In terms of the realistic expectation, obviously we heard a bit before, you were saying that, kind of realistically we're looking at 6th or 7th. yeah, just it's a similar thing to Dow in terms of what we've done in the transfer window, what you've seen so far. What are the realistic expectations that Man United fans should be looking at now?
What I said basically, which is, I put even a poll on my channel, just basically just giving ideas to what people. Oh, so is that echo? I don't know where the echo's coming from. But yeah, just what people think, and looking at my community tower, just showing out before I say my. So I said I put after this transfer window, where will United finish this season? Like there was between first and third, fourth, fifth and eighth, eighth onwards, and I don't care Glazers out. And like 38% of the vote out of 50 so far have said between fifth and eighth. And that's basically, and I probably agree with them. The other 28% said I don't care Glazers out, Woodward out. But I agree with that because I think that the only optimism I can really get is that at the end of the day, it is still early on in the season. We have only played 3 games. Yes, we've lost 2 of those games, but they've only been 3 games. I mean, we are still technically only a point behind Manchester City. You know what I mean? So you still can't read into it. So we'll see what happens. But the reality is that our next 4 games, I think, are quite tough. We have Newcastle away, which is going to be tough. I will probably do a preview after the international breaking, but it's going to be difficult because we always struggle at St James's Park. One of the long staffs usually scores against us, and then we're in trouble. Then we have Arsenal and Chelsea back to back at home. And then the following, we have Everton away, and all 3 of those teams, I'd even argue Newcastle are in better form than we are. Newcastle got a point away at Spurs, for example. I'll bet in contentious circumstances, but they didn't concede 6. So I think that if United fans, if we want to be real, I think we need to go into the season expecting anywhere between 5th to 8th place. Not expecting us, to be honest, to qualify from the champion. As much as I'd love to, that group with RP Leipzig and PSG. That RP Leipzig squad might be inferior to Ollie's squad, but Nagelsmann is a better coach in my opinion. He'd have seen the way that Ollie plays, and if he's still going to play this passing from the back from the beginning, teams will already see that and go, you know what, just press them from the beginning. Almost every team, Mourinho did it. Hodgson did it. Almost every team that I've seen so far, Southampton do it. They know now that United are going to play from the back. They're going to start play from the back. Just press them high up the pitch, get them to make mistakes. The defense isn't great. Failing that, and they bypass the press. Just long ball up to a striker or a winger with pace, and run out the back 2, and they'll be fine. And that's it. It's not difficult to play against Manchester United. So yeah, between 5th to 8th place, no. I wouldn't say we're going to qualify for the group stage of Champions League. Maybe a semi-final in a cup competition, most likely the Carabao Cup competition, and that's about it. And I think that probably ends with Ollie getting sacked through no fault of his own, I'd argue. But it is what it is.
I was just about to ask whether you thought Ollie was going to get sacked and when that was going to be, but obviously just answer your own question there. So that's perfect. Because I was going to say I was going to say I saw Worldwide Reds comment as well. Thanks for joining, Sean, as well. Appreciate it from Worldwide Reds. Make sure you do check out his channel. Great stuff on there as well as Red Devil Studio. I know Christian was asking there for your channel, so make sure you do check out Red Devil Studio if you haven't already, and also Daz's Football Stand. Make sure you check them out, and Rich as well. Not forgetting Rich as well. Rich Sports in the comments there. But yeah, I was just going to ask you about Solskjaer. Obviously, Worldwide Reds here saying the board are planning the same rinse and repeat cycle. Ollie gets the blame and then gets sacked, and then we bring in someone like Poch. We gain momentum, and then they don't back him, sack and repeat. And I agree with that 100%. I think a lot of United fans are thinking the same way. I think a lot of United fans, I think we had one of the first comments on the stream was Ollie getting sacked and Poch coming in, and that's going to all happen around Christmas time, similar to when Mourinho got sacked and Solskjaer came in. And I think if this trend continues, I do fear for Solskjaer. And to be honest, no Man United fan wants to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked from Manchester United. Like, even if it might be the kind of right decision or whatever, in terms of football related, no one wants to see a club legend being sacked and told that he's surplus to requirements of the club. No one wants that, and it's a really, really kind of sad position we're in right now, because it is looking that way. It's looking likely that if results at least don't pick up, Solskjaer, unfortunately, is going to have to, it's going to be the lamb to the slaughter, I guess. You could put it that way. But Daz, mate, obviously we both had our say about Ollie, whether they're probably going to get sacked. We both think it's going to probably end up in him being sacked. Just quickly, do you think Solskjaer is going to get sacked this season? And if so, at what stage? Do you think it'll be as early as Christmas, or do you think that he might hold on just to the end of the season?
I mean, I think we spoke about this after the Spurs game. And what he's put there, really, it seems to be going that way, doesn't it? And that shouldn't be the case, because that's not how a club should be run. That's not what the board should be doing. Shouldn't be putting your faith in them and then next season just don't back them and make them do terrible. It's ridiculous. Unfortunately, I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I just don't think he's going to last the season, if Christmas even. So, but I mean, it'd be sad to see him go, because
of course, yeah.
we all like Ollie's a club legend, but at the end of the day, if the Glaciers decide to do that, that's their decision, and there's nothing that any of the fans can do about it.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, obviously you have all the protests you want, but as of right now, the Glazers and Woodward are in charge, and they're the same cycle is going to continue as long as they're there, in my opinion. So that's the desperate bit thing about this situation, really, is that when you've got that board there, is anything really going to change? We're going to see the same thing. And we always say, oh, well, this time he's going to be back. Surely this time he's going to be back. And it never happens. So that's why I think, if we do sack Solskjaer, which unfortunately I do think is going to happen, even if we bring in a Pochettino, he might get back for that first summer, or at least kind of seemingly backed anyway. But as transfer windows go on and we kind of continue to, progress a little bit, they'll start to say, okay, well, we're not going to give you as much, and then we'll just be in the same position where maybe even with Poch or with Nagelsmann or whoever comes in, we'll be struggling to make top four, and everyone's going, oh, he's not a good enough coach, this, that. It's like, well, surely at some point you've got to start pointing fingers. But I think, unfortunately for Solskjaer, I don't see him lasting. I think if he lasts past Christmas, he's got a good chance of lasting to the end of the season, in my opinion. Few people have just joined. As I say, I'm just about to end the stream, guys. I'm so sorry to everyone that's just joined. Asim and Young Devil, thanks for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. Asim kind of summing up, saying depressed FC, kind of summing up, really. But I just want to say thank you so much to Daryl and to G and to Tom as well for coming on. Really appreciate it. It's made my night, I've got to say.
That's good.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Often, mate.
Yeah, we should.
100%, man. 100%. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. I see a lot of you guys getting involved as well in the comments. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it watching. And hopefully this is a bit of a pick-me-up at least. At least you got a little bit of entertainment, because I'm going to be honest, United fans, we're going to need it. We're going to need it. I think all I'd say is just prepare to take banter. We just got to just try and get thicker skin. You just got to be able to take banter from your mates, because it's going to be a long season. I'll tell you that now. But anyway,
get more Young Devil to these streams in the games.
Yeah, I know. But Young Devil, I'm going to finish on this. He says, I ain't depressed at this football club. Oh, he says, I'm pretty excited because we got an international. Oh, right, okay. He paid me, but I'm excited because we've got an international break for the players to freshen up. Okay, well, listen, I hope that happens, but at the same time, the players are also playing for international duties. So if they do play, they're not going to have that much time to freshen up. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully it gets better. As I said, we United fans, we don't want it to be negative. We want to be positive all the time. So, but obviously a lot to talk about right now. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do check out Red Devil Studio and Dazzler's Football Stand, as well as all the other channels that have been mentioned on this stream. And check out Tom as well on Twitter. I'm not sure if he did put his Twitter in the live chat, but make sure you do check him out on Twitter. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll let you go. Hopefully you have a good, was it Wednesday now? Have a good Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll check in with you at some time in the week as well. So make sure you get your eyes peeled for that. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. But thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it. And hopefully you did too. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys in a bit.
Cheers. Take care, everyone. Bye.